Good morning, men. It is your boy Sydney here with you this morning. It's a cold morning. It's a bit cloudy, but damn, it feels good to be me today. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about masculinity. And this is something that's been talked about a lot in the media, in opinion pieces, and basically all over the world at the moment. Typically with the word toxic in front of it. Now I wanted to define masculinity, and I wanted to also share that with you. What's going on, Saomi? If you have a look at the thumbnail that I've just put up, masculinity is defined as, well, to paraphrase, the traits and attributes typically associated with a man. And those can include, being muscly, being driven and motivated, being handsome. You know what I'm talking about. And to preface that with the word toxic is, as we know, completely reprehensible. And this is something that's being taught in schools. What's going on, Boski, PM, Ironbark, Shin, Sir 2K to Goat, Nomads, Flemish? Thank you all of you for joining. So, yes, look, it's no secret that the majority of university students now are women. It's no secret that the universities are dominated by the rhetoric from the left. It's no secret that the left is a proponent of feminism. It's also no secret that most of the teachers in the Western world now are female. And these teachers need a university degree to be able to teach. And what do they get taught in university, in the humanities and the social sciences? They're getting taught all this bullshit about toxic masculinity and rape culture and all of this nonsense. And then, of course, you get so many women together, they end up in a little echo chamber. So you've got university as an echo chamber, and then you've got women within that echo chamber, and then you've got teachers within that echo chamber. So it just gets worse and worse and amplifies. And we've already got all this social justice nonsense being taught in schools. And people are starting to see how toxic social justice is, right? If we should be removing the word toxic from before masculinity and putting it in front of social justice, because social justice is what's driving this feminist agenda. It's what's driving this whole political correctness around people of color and trans people, and everyone's a fucking victim, right? Saomi, you know what I mean? And Saomi's trans. She's watching this right now, but she doesn't consider herself a victim. So I don't know why everyone else needs to. Oh, that's right, because the left tells them they need to. Yeah, and look, Eamon's saying his 15-year-old daughter comes home from school with this bullshit. Eamon, can you tell me what sort of stuff the daughter's being told at school? Because I'd really like to find this out. And guys, what I'm going to say to you is that your children, right, the next generation, the children of your friends, right, people you know are being indoctrinated in primary school, high school, and university with this nonsense. And, they're being indoctrinated by way of being force-fed information. Now, information is very powerful. They say knowledge is powerful, right? Knowledge is power. But, I just want to say that we also have knowledge that we can impart, right? Yeah, Goku says, pull your daughter out of that school. I'd probably agree with that, Eamon. Jordan Peterson the other day said, if your kid comes home talking about toxic masculinity and male privilege and female oppression and, all of these ridiculous buzzwords like misogyny and whatnot, then you should pull them out of that class. And I think that all parents should take that example, because soon what's going to happen is classrooms are going to be empty and the education system is going to go, whoa, what the fuck is happening? Why are parents pulling all these kids out of class? And this is how we create a revolution, by setting the example. And we have to set the example. And that is exactly why, guys, I go live every single day. I share this information with you because it's so important that you're aware of this and you have the tools to combat it. Exactly, I am back. And this is what I'm saying. So next time that your daughter comes home talking about toxic masculinity, can I ask you to do this, Eamon? Next time your daughter and everyone else who's got kids, right? If you got a kid that comes home talking about toxic masculinity, I want you to say, okay, you know, I just want to ask you and understand, what does the word toxic mean to you? Right? What does the word masculinity mean to you? What do you understand that to be? And I want all of you to go out and buy a dictionary. And every time they come to you with some bullshit word like patriarchy, toxic masculinity, you know, misogyny, I want you to actually go. I want you to go to that dictionary. And I want you to pull those words out. And I want you to say, okay, well, you know, I just want to, because you said that masculinity means this to you. Well, you've been taught the wrong definition of masculinity, because this is what masculinity actually means. And now that you know what masculinity actually means, do you still think that it's possible for masculinity to be toxic? And they'll go, oh, no, well, now that I know what it means, of course it's not toxic. And you'll say, unfortunately, you are being told a lie. You are being taught a lie by your teachers because they were taught a lie in university. And it's very important that now that you have this knowledge and that you are armed with this, that you share this with other people and get them a little pocket dictionary, you know, buy your kids a little pocket dictionary to take to school, to share those words with their friends when their friends use those words, right? And unindoctrinate their friends. Hang on, yeah, some good lighting right there. You know, you have a civil duty to the future of society and your future sons and the sons of your friends and your nephews and your younger brothers and your older brothers. You have a civil duty and a moral duty to protect them from the evils of feminism and what that agenda is pushing in terms of legal subjugation. Timothy says, stand up against tyranny. And that's exactly what I'm proposing that we do, men. We stand up against tyranny. And we talk about masculine men versus soy boys, right? And we call these guys cucks. And, you know, everyone goes, oh, you know, you just use cuck to try and discredit them. It's like, no, I'm making a future prediction on which I have credible data. Because we know that men who are not masculine, we know that men who are effeminate are far more likely to be cheated upon, are far more likely to be left by women, are far more likely to be divorce raped. And women have asked for more masculine. We've given women everything they asked for. Women asked for more freedoms. We gave them more freedoms. They asked for special rights. We gave them special rights. They asked for affirmative action. We gave them affirmative action. They asked for money. We gave them money. You know, they asked for our kids. The government took it off us because we enabled our government to do that. Because we voted these governments in that are allowing this feminist agenda to spread. No more. Say no, men. And only vote for governments. Only vote for political parties that have your best interests at heart. We need to stand up against this. We cannot make a change if we do nothing, men. It will not happen if we sit on our asses and say, oh, well, can't change anything. We can change everything. We have changed the course of history as men time and time again by standing up for what is right. By standing up and having our say. By standing up and fighting back against tyranny. By standing up and fighting back against the things that are wrong. by standing up and fighting for what is right. That is how we have carved and forged the course of history, time and time again. And this is what I am asking you to do now, men. To stand up and fight against this. Right? We are being legally subjugated by way of ideological warfare. Right? By way of false information. And so far we've sat back and not done a lot as a collective. I'm not going to say that none of us men have done a lot, because there's a lot of us men that have done a hell of a lot. But one man alone cannot fight an army. So we need to create our own army. And not an army of little beta men who are going to sit down and, you know, wimp out at the first sign of trouble. We need to create an army of real men. Right? And what I mean by real men is men who have the nation's best interests at heart, who have the interests of our future children at heart, who have the interests of our brothers and those we love at heart. Have the interest of our daughters at heart. Right? And I know that typically this is a channel for men, right? But you know, the reason that women are leaving men at record rates is because they have no interest in staying, because the men that they are with now are fucking soy boys. The men that they are with are little beta males, and women are not attracted to that. And this is why, you know, way back when marriages used to last, women used to stay with their partners because those partners were not just providers, but they were masculine alpha men. And we need to bring that back. We need to say no when people put demands on us that are unreasonable. We need to say no to accepting things like gender fluidity. We need to say no to accepting things like women at Vodafone Australia and ANZ Australia getting paid more than men in superannuation, even if they are on the exact same hourly pay rate. We need to say no to women getting more services when they are being abused, right? And I'm not saying don't let them have the services they have, but let me rephrase that. When I say no to women having more services, I mean saying no to women having more services than men relative to the amount of victims of men versus women. It needs to be proportionate, and right now it is not, because women are handed everything and men are handed nothing. Go and have a look at my video on how the government hates Australian men. If you're not red-pilled now, I'm damn sure that you will be after that video. Smash that like button, men. I appreciate you all. Single women between the ages of 24 to 30 are out earning men because they are now better educated. More of them have university degrees than ever before. More of them are indoctrinated than ever before. Even social justice is starting to seep into mathematics and STEM fields. It is unbelievable. A theory that for, you know, almost a century now has been called the marriage theory, perhaps even more than that, people are now being told they can't call it the marriage theory anymore because it might offend people who aren't married, or trans people, or those that cannot get married. What's going on, Chase Luke? Well, Eamon, the courts are a tool of not the patriarchy, but the government. This new matriarchy, this new feminist agenda that makes no concessions and no fair outcomes for men. So, and Eamon, I'm obviously not going to air it on my channel, but Eamon, if you could send me an email to sydneymingtar@gmail.com, I would really appreciate you letting me know which school that is. I don't want to know your daughter's name. I don't want to know any further details. I'm just curious to know what school that is, so that I can do a bit of research into that. And if you could also tell me what sort of things that your daughter is coming home saying, and what sort of things that your daughter is being taught at this particular school. Right? And Tim, I definitely don't touch the soy at all. I won't. Even when I go and have a laksa, I had laksa last night. Those 4 little chunks of tofu on top. Do you think I touched it? Just saying. Matt Tower says, unfortunately, things will get better when they get harder. Everyone will come back to the bargaining table. Exactly. What's going on, Sishu? And, you know, Flownet says, MGTOW is fine as a temporary measure, but in the end, it is not enough. Men will have to fight back to roll back the ride. So to roll back the tide. And guys, this is what I was talking about the other day with Jordan Peterson, right? And a lot of you guys were like, MGTOW is the only answer. Well, you know, I beg to differ on that one, because I see past that, and I see how important it is that we actually create protection measures to bring things back. I guess as SJWs will soon find unicorns and rainbows part of science. Well, technically rainbows are, but unicorns certainly are not. And I actually heard something yesterday, Ironbark, and this is a very interesting concept. This was also something that Jordan Peterson says. A lot of his recent stuff is fucking dynamite. And he was saying that, because Ironbark says the courts love men, that is the income stream. If men ignored courts and set up their own defense lawyers at reasonable fee that was in 100% custody of men, it was 100% custody for men in the best interest of the child. So what he actually said, Jordan Peterson, yesterday. Oh shit, what's the time? You know what time it is. Time for one of these bad boys. And Jordan Peterson actually said, well, you know, he's talking about IQs and talking about the IQ ranges that are suitable for typically for certain types of careers. And he was saying that, you know, low-end lawyers that, you know, just fulfill menial administration tasks and fulfill processes are going to become obsolete, and there's going to become an oversupply of these people, right? Because the intelligent people amongst us men, are actually starting to work out, and even those of us who maybe, you know, for example, let's say, you know, some of you in there, you know, have a lower IQ, and that's cool. Say some of us have got a lower IQ. You have men amongst us, your brothers, who have high enough IQ to help you get the outcomes you need. And this is the power of brotherhood. And go back and watch my video on brotherhood, or the importance of brotherhood, if you haven't already seen it. And Riff says MGTOW is temporary, only those pining for the plantation talk like that. Riff, I'm gonna tell you why I somewhat agree with the fact that MGTOW is not the final solution. Because, you know, if MGTOW becomes an absolute in society, then what happens is we end up having no children. If every man went MGTOW, we will decimate our entire society. There will be no future generation. We will all die out. And the earth will be basically an empty place. And I know that would be a great lesson for women, but we didn't build all this as men for it to end up where it's at. We actually need to create a positive society. It's interesting seeing a race car on the back of a trailer with a P plate on it. P plate for you American dudes is provisional driver, which means you have limitations on what you can and can't drive. Oh, hang on. And Ironbark says, my IQ is 133. I had the advantage of being able to represent myself in family court. And this is exactly what Jordan Peterson was saying the other day. You know, lawyers, except for the high-end corporate ones, are a dying breed. Right? You know, a lot of people now are working out how to self-represent. You know, exactly like my brother Ironbark. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I need more smoothie. Now, don't go anywhere, guys, and smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. But this is why masculinity is so important. We need to teach, you know, and even if it's not your kids, even if you know, as for example, a single mother where the kid's a little soy boy, I want you to start just dropping the red pills. Start showing them definitions of words that they've been taught, that are the actual definitions, right? Contrary to what they've been taught at school. Contrary to what they've been taught by these people with a feminist agenda. Contrary to what they've been taught by these people that don't know what's going on. Please do this for us, guys. Because it's only until we start red pilling more men, it's only until we start red pilling, God forbid, more women, to realize that they've been lied to as well. Because until they realize that they've been lied to, they're going to be part of this feminist agenda that is pushing to subjugate us men, us MGTOW men and the simps. And simps are only simps because they don't know what we know. Right? They're only simps because they're not aware. Right? Whether they're our enemies or not, they're human beings too, and they are males too, and they deserve our support and compassion. They deserve our education. Right, to help them work off the plantation. You think that I just woke up one day and I knew what I knew? No way. I was a simp up until about 2 years ago. Right, I got married. I put all my money into the house. You know, I sacrificed everything. I was a fucking simp. I was 100% a simp. But look at me now. It's your boy Sydney MGTOW here, telling you the real truth about what's going on. Alright? Daily. Giving you those daily red pills. And it's important that I do this for you. And you know why. What's going on, Thomas? Omega says happily divorced. Yeah. It's happening all the time, guys. It's not a happy process, but there's peace after it. Sishu says the only way that feminism will be destroyed is through a revolution. It will be a communist revolution, then a correction back to liberty. An interesting idea. Interesting idea at all. And I don't know, maybe, just maybe, potentially might not have to come back to that. So what I'm going to propose, Zishu, is that feminism can be destroyed if enough people realize the damage that it's doing and the lies that they are being taught. And this is why I'm saying it is our civil duty to fight back against this. My end goal is to get onto mainstream media in a live interview, not a pre-recorded interview where they can manipulate it, a live interview. And I can articulately shut these people down. And I can destroy them on the same platform that they're using to indoctrinate the people that oppose my view, which is the view of reality. What's going on, John and MGTOW Strong? And yeah, look, Riff, I know, man. I know I've only been MGTOW for 2 years. And I don't know that I'll ever be fully monk, to be honest with you. It's just me, it's just how I do. But it also doesn't mean that I'm a simp. It also doesn't mean that it's a white knight. It means that I serve what I want. And that's what men should do. Whatever might work, says my not yet ex enrolled our son in a private school on her mother's dime. Now she wants me to pay for the school even though her mother is paying. She just wants money and to inflict pain. Well, what I propose, whatever might work, is that you subpoena her bank statements through the courts to prove that she is not paying for it. Because if she's not paying for it, then you should not be asked to pay for it. And subpoena her mother's bank records so you can prove that her mother's paying for it. That's what I'm saying. How'd you dodge that much in school fees, Ironbark? I respect that. What's going on, Jayapathy? Welcome. So guys, I'm gonna go finish this smoothie. Just want to say a big thank you to those of you who have donated by Patreon. I've got 5 patrons now. And I also, what I've done now, if you guys haven't heard of Patreon Lens, a Patreon Lens is an inbuilt function in Patreon where you can actually share videos and photos, like kind of like Snapchat, but and then last for 24 hours rather than being just like you touch it and it's gone. So this is something that I actually wanted to share with you guys. So if any of you feel that you can spare $1 or $2 a month or more, but even $1 or $2 a month, I mean, guys, it's $12 a year. If you feel compelled to do so, go donate on my Patreon, and you will get patron-only exclusive footage throughout the day of Sydney MGTOW going about his daily activities, going and just little funny things that I find that I want to share with you guys. I'm not going to do a YouTube live every time I see something, but I can do a Patreon Lens photo or video for you guys. So anyone who donates even as much as $1 a month, as little as $1 a month, will get exclusive access to my personal Snapchat, but through Patreon. So go download the app, guys. On there is Sydney MGTOW, patreon.com/Sydney MGTOW. Interesting. Whatever my work says, she's ignored the subpoenas and courts won't enforce the order, but no court will force me to pay. Good. Anyway, Riff, this isn't about forcing people back to the plantation at all. It's not about that. But it is about, what you got to understand is there's 2 sides to the story, right? There's 2 parts to this equation, and I'm sure you already know this. I know you know this. But we've got a slightly different lens on this. So your lens is one that, well, if we don't go back to the plantation, then they can't fuck us, right? And my thing is, well, there's still men that will stay on the plantation. And do I want those guys to get fucked over? Absolutely not. So how can we avoid them being screwed over? Well, I'll tell you how. We can avoid them being screwed over by red pilling the men and women who so far have and the boys and girls who have enabled things to get to the point where it's at up until now. We need to educate those people to show them that it is not in their best interest or anybody's best interests to enable this kind of behavior. All right, and that's the only way we're going to fight back against it, to remove the ability of certain people to enact their will and toxic outcomes onto other people. Anyway, men, I appreciate you all. So check out my Patreon, my PayPal, if you want exclusive access to Sydney MGTOW's little stuff during the day that I get up to. If you want to donate by crypto, Bitcoin, Litecoin, feel free to do so. If you want to check me out on Instagram, Minds, and Twitter. I was watching a Gary Vee video last night, and he said, to cover your audience, capture your largest possible audience, cast the widest possible net. And I was like, well, that's true, which is why I'm going to become more active on these other platforms. I guess one of my biggest assets is time, and the more, at the point where I have enough passive income to be able, even just enough guys, to be able to go full-time making this content for you, to be able to go full-time lobbying for change with politicians. You know, I need to red pill as many politicians as I can, because right now they live in a bubble of Canberra. Right? They live in an echo changer of leftist nonsense. There's a few that realize what's going on, but there's a lot that don't. And those people need the information that I have. So my long-term goal is to basically be able to fight for you guys full-time. And if I can do that, then I think I can make a lot of change in society. And Riff says women haven't reached the stage where they've realized they're being screwed over by feminism. Most of them are still parroting the same crap. Riff, exactly, and that's exactly why I'm doing this video today. It's exactly why I'm putting the call to arms out to you guys to educate people, women and men, because women will not fight back against feminism. They will not push back against the feminist agenda until they realize how it hurts them, right? And it hurts them because it hurts men. And they haven't fully realized the impact of what hurting men will have on them personally, on their lives, on their children. It's only when this comes to full effect that they'll realize it, unless we teach them before it's too late. Exactly, Sishu. And women won't change until they're no longer allowed by the state and legislation to allow their full unbridled nature to run rampant. But see, and Sishu, this is what I'm saying, brother. And like Riff and Sishu are both monk. And I respect you guys and I love you guys. And you're both right. So the whole system will not change until men and women collectively on a broad scale realize the damage that feminism and the feminist agenda is doing to all of them. Right? It is only until the laws that damage and hurt and subjugate men are repealed that we can actually return to some sort of level of normality, right? Return to some sort of level of equilibrium. But those laws won't get rolled back until the feminist agenda is pushed back upon. And that feminist agenda will not get pushed back upon until people realize what it's doing. And people won't realize what it's doing unless we educate them. It is critical. This current process that's taking place is unprecedented. Unprecedented in the history of mankind. Not people-kind, mankind. Right? Because mankind encompasses woman and man. And Sishu, I know women make up the majority of voters, and they'll never vote against the laws that allow them to take advantage of men. But Sishu, this is what I'm saying. If they realize, yeah, there's the laws that give them advantages, but it's only when they go to divorce, right? So look, MGTOW is the band-aid. MGTOW is the band-aid. It is not the cure. Right? Things will only get worse, right? And I mean, it'll get better for the guys who go MGTOW, right? Because we know how to protect ourselves, and even some of us don't. You guys saw what happened to Danish, right? Like, come on. We need to educate men and women on why they are wrong. We need to educate men and women on how feminism is damaging both of them. Right? We can't tell them how we're not here to tell them how it advantages them. That just disadvantages us. We're not here to tell them how it advantages them. We're here to show them how it disadvantages them. Because it's only through educating on them how it disadvantages them that we can encourage them to stand up and turn their back on this ideology which is attempting to subjugate us and give these feminist elite ideologues all of the power. I need to return into a balance. Just letting the guys at work know that I rocked up here. That's what I was just doing right there. Sishu says, sorry, Scott, I'm not trying to be combative, but I'm trying to see how this could be achieved without having to go through a communist revolution. And Sishu, I know you're not trying to be combative, bro. And I love this discourse, right? Because there's some of you guys that see things the way that Sishu sees it. There's some of you guys that see things the way that I see it. You know, and this is the thing about knowledge, right? And different perspectives. You can actually process and, you know, form a greater picture. Whereas if you just hear what's being taught in universities, then you'll never get a greater picture. Thomas, it's very important to teach women, right? Because if we don't teach women, then they will continue to teach new generations and create new generations of feminists, right? Feminists will never die out until you cut off the supply of information, because feminists only exist because of what they've been taught by a few ideologues. But if you actually remove the ideology, right, by shattering its subjective version of truth, if you shatter that ideology by that method, then you prevent that from propagating to the next generation. That is the only way that you can get current feminists to die out, right? By stopping the people that they're trying to teach from being indoctrinated by those feminists. And this is why it's so important to you guys to red pill as many people as you can and share this message with women you know that are egalitarian, right? That want to see fairness restored, that don't think that the current laws are fair for men, right? Get those women to red pill other women they know. They're not going to get everyone, but then widen the net we cast. Never underestimate. I had someone say to me the other day, you know, I don't realize, I don't know that I'm making an impact on the world. And I said, let me tell you about making an impact. You know, I've had people reach out to me and tell me that I changed their lives, that I helped them to rediscover themselves through one thing that I said. And this person is a coach. She changes lives. Right? She helped someone to work through their own self-worth issues and get the job that they've been working 70 hours a week for over 5 days, consistently for a long period of time. And that person finally got the job that they wanted through the help of my friends. This friend is the same one that doesn't buy into the feminist ideology and that supports what I do. Just reversing here, guys. I'm gonna park that ass. Park that ass in this spot. Gonna start beeping like a little bitch in a second. There it is. Parking sensors. I don't need you. I can park by my own damn self. Turning your cell phone every time I hit reverse. No, Riff, look. I'm gonna look, there's okay, yeah. Alright. Not Coach Eli. That's not the coach I'm talking about, Riff. This person is not trying to drag people back to the plantation. Thomas says, as for feminists, a better strategy is ridiculing and showing how mentally broken they are. But look, ridiculing them is only going to cause them to double down. It's only going to cause them to double down. And we're not going to win this war by ridiculing feminists. We need to actually build rapport with the feminists that we're trying to red pill, right? And we need to gently pry them away from their ideology and gently show them all the cracks in the framework of what it is that they currently believe. And not, Riff, it is not, teaching women and teaching men is not simping. It is removing the ideology which is being pushed that is damaging men that don't know any better, that have not been taught, that are not MGTOW. Right? And call me an MRA if you want. But I give a shit about men. I give enough of a shit about you MGTOW brothers, right, to go your own way. Right? I'm encouraging you to go your own way. You know this. I've done how many videos now? I don't even know how many I've done. Done them daily since Christmas. I'm probably almost up to 100 videos almost by now. And the only way we're going to destroy this current system and create it, well, we can't destroy the current system. Right? The current system has a framework that cannot be completely ruined. Right? Because the men and women in our society will not do a physical revolt. Right? They won't storm parliament and kill the politicians and demand change. They won't do that. It won't happen. So we need to remove the ideology which is influencing our current system to be the way it is. And the only way we can remove that is by changing the minds of the people who are pushing it. Good work, Ironbark. Sishu, look, you're a smart guy. I want you to think about, just give it some thought. Just give it some thought about whether it's practical. And I'm not saying it's practical. I'm not saying that you and I are going to walk out on the street and say, hey, have you guys heard about the red pill? Do you want me to change your mind? It's not going to work. It is a long process, and it requires a lot of people, and it requires dedication, and that's what I'm putting to you guys. What's going on? It's all a lie. Riff, men still make up just under half the population. We have the ability to change things. No, disagree, Riff. We can change women. I've changed a lot of their minds. Right, I've now red pilled some women, some of my subscribers, and they are heavily anti-feminism. Right, they don't want laws which unfairly benefit women over men. Right, they actually want to see change, and I respect that. And Sishu, look, I'm a pragmatist. Right, I'm pragmatic. I know what can and can't be done. But Sishu, what I want to say to you is, how many people, when feminism started, how many people do you think were feminists? Right? A handful. How many people do you think were like, I'm a feminist, and this is what I believe? Right? Do you think, millions of women just woke up one day and said, oh, I'm a feminist, and I want to have all these laws that benefit me? No, this was ideological war. They did to us what I'm proposing that you do to them. They indoctrinated. Right? They spread information on such a broad scale by providing what seemed to be a logical framework. Right? And this is the reach they've had. We can have that same reach if we are reasonable, if we are calm, we are collected, and we can back ourselves with information. And that's what we need to do. And that's what I'm proposing. Toxic Avenger, nothing toxic about you, brother. You're my man. You don't need a mustache to spread this message. An Ironbark Pipe Dream says, help them cure domestic violence. Have nothing to do with them. Look, domestic violence, they cause a lot of, yeah. Anyway, not gonna go into the whole domestic violence thing, because you saw my video on the Australian government the other day. And I would posit that a lot of domestic violence takes place because of the frustration that men feel about women that have been enabled by the system, and they've been enabled by the system that's been influenced by people that have information that is false. We need to fight back against that false information. We need to attack this from the root, not put a band-aid on it or a massive bandage. Putting a bandage on anything isn't going to help. Riff, I'm helping men in one-on-one too, brother. And we're on the same page, dude. You know this. All right? But if I can help men one-on-one, see, the reason that MRAs fail is because they tell women that they're wrong. Right? And this is some truth here, right? MRAs fail to deliver a message because they say, women, you are wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Right? What about us? Right? And you hear these prominent feminists going, oh, what about men? Blah, 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 blah. It's all about men, right? Make it about women in a way where they can see how feminism disadvantages them. Because if you can tell women how something's going to disadvantage them, then they're going to fight back against that which disadvantages them. Feminists caused all these women to get on board with feminism because feminists said the patriarchy is disadvantaging you. And they were like, oh shit, well, I don't want to be disadvantaged, so I'm going to fight against the patriarchy, right? The patriarchy that doesn't exist. All right, so we're here. And we need, whether you agree with me or not, we need to. This is imperative. And I see things that maybe some of you guys don't see. I see this huge picture and I can't even explain the scope of what I see. But it's so imperative that we let women know why it is that being a feminist and the feminist ideology and having feminist governments disadvantage them. It disadvantages them by feminizing men, by giving them a smaller pool of attractive mates. I'm not saying those mates are going to go to the women, but the women need to know that the more that feminism is causing men to become pussified, it's causing men to become little beta male soy boys. It's causing men to become unattractive to them biologically. Right? It's also causing men to walk away from them. And this is why they can't find a guy that wants to commit to them. You need to create an incentive for them to want to wipe out feminism. Whether they gain advantage from it or not, they need to know what the disadvantages of the current system are to them for them to fight back against it and to vote out these systems of power, these governments, right? These democratic parties, which are feminist. And Ironbark Pipe Dream, you can't just say, oh, the gender pay gap doesn't exist, right? Because you're arguing against a woman. You can't argue against a woman. It doesn't work. You have to actually show how, you know, this ideology. Say, look, things like, right? Say, well, look, I know the pay gap doesn't, I know that there's a pay gap between full-time female and full-time male workers as an average. But did you know that between 24 to 30, women are actually earning more than men, but they're also more unhappy than they've ever been? Did you know that in the 2016 Australian census, women worked less hours in every age category, on average, across the board, than men? At a rough percentage which correlates exactly with the pay gap. Did you know that it's illegal for women to get paid less than men and for men to get paid more than women unless it's negotiated? Did you know that many feminists admit that women struggle with negotiation? Let me help you to negotiate your pay, right? Let me show you the tools, because it's by doing things like this, right? And you don't have to spend a lot of time. You just need to say, look, here's a couple of tips. Take it or leave it, right? Because then they're going to go, wow, well, guys aren't actually trying to hold us down. Wow, maybe this whole pay gap is bullshit. Maybe I'm going to look into it. And they will look into it and they'll research and they'll red pill themselves. You just got to set the ball rolling. What's going on, MGTOW Poetry? PJ? I'm about to go, PJ. Riff, I agree. I'm talking about reaching out to the bloke who's broken and paying huge amount of money on vagina money. The guy who gave it his all and got screwed over. That's the guy I want to reach. That's the guy I want to reach too. And that's the guys I want to save in future by not having a feminist government, by letting people know why it disadvantages them to have a feminist government. And see, sure, it's been perpetuated through the education system for the last century or so by indoctrinating from birth in all areas of society and life, media, advertising, etc. Exactly. And you know why it's been perpetuated through the education system? Because nobody has fought back with information, right? Nobody has turned around and says, well, you know, have you thought about this? Have you looked at this reality, right? And let me show you why maybe there's more than meets the eye to the information you've been given. We have to reverse it, MGTOW strong. Exactly. What else we still got here? We need to keep red pilling, guys. So critically important. What's going on, Underdog? Underdog, you need to go back and watch this video. I think you'll really like it. Especially being a uni student, I think you'll love what I'm saying. I think that you'll totally agree with it. Or at least largely agree with it. Especially if you like process and think about it and, you know, take yourself away from the video and then just process it on a broader scale, broader plane of thinking. Exactly, Riff Magos. and say, you know, they want to achieve equality in construction. And say to women that talk about the pay gap, just say, well, I've got a question for you. Would you agree that construction, i.e., bricklaying, plumbing, concreting, electrical, is dominated by women? Sorry, is dominated by men? And they'll say, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some of them will even say, oh, it's because of the patriarchy. It's like, okay, well, do you want to stand out on a concrete site in the boiling sun in a summer day, sweating your ass off, getting concrete all over you? Would you like to do that job? And they'll say, oh no, of course not. Why would I want to do that job? It's like, well, someone has to lay the concrete for everything that you see around you, right? See these concrete slabs, see this entire, industrial estate. Someone poured the concrete from that, and it wasn't you. So who was it? Right? And you've just said to me that the concreting industry is dominated by men, so it's mainly men that poured this, right? So the fact that you're actually standing here on this footpath is because of men, right? Oh yeah, but. It's like, well, okay. Do you want to be a plumber working on sewer lines? No. Okay, well, do you want to be an oil rig worker staying away from home for weeks on end, getting covered in oil, and, being in some of the most dangerous conditions on earth? No. Well, do you want to be an electrician working in lift shafts, hanging suspended 20 stories above the ground by a rope with an elevator above you in the shaft? Do you want to do that job? No. It's like, okay, well, do you want to be a bricklayer and lay bricks every day in the hot sun and get sunburnt? No. Okay, well, what construction jobs do you want to do? Oh, well, I could be an architect. No, 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 no. I'm not talking about the white collar jobs. I'm talking about the blue collar jobs. I'm talking about where people get their hands dirty. I'm talking about the jobs like concreting where you're getting paid over 100 grand a year instead of working as a barista for 40. Right? This is how you red pill people, by asking them questions and making them trip up on their own answers. This is how you red pill people. This is how you get people thinking. And I might do that to you guys from time to time. And I'm not doing it to be a dick. I'm not doing it to win, but I'm doing it to get you critically thinking. I do this to other people to get them critically thinking. Critical thinking is what will topple feminism. And it was what will topple this SJW and this leftist cesspool that we're living in. All right, and I might do a video tomorrow. In fact, can one of you guys drop me an email, say 80, and just write 80% in the subject line. That's all I need, right? There's a video that says 80% of women don't want to work for men, right? So I'm going to do that on my video probably tomorrow night, and I'll play the video on my YouTube. You know how I get like my background behind me, and I'll actually show you guys that 80% of women don't want to work for men. So, and Riff, I'm not debating with idiots, brother. I'm not debating with idiots. I am a MGTOW. But I also love dropping the red pill on men and women, because they need to know how feminism disadvantages them, and that's the only way we're going to win this war. Anyway, Chase Luke, I agree with you on that. Most women will not work on hard jobs except a few, because they're not men, and feminists won't accept the reality because, they're in this ideological framework that doesn't see the bigger picture. All right, guys, I'm going to smash this smoothie. What time is it now? I'm going to check it out. 7:40. I start work at 8. Just going to kick it back for a bit, just chill out, relax, and do what I got to do. All right, guys. I'm going to bounce. Appreciate you all. Check out my Patreon. If you guys want to see, my exclusive Patreon lens where you can catch all my daily activities, my little funny pictures. Oh, there's a cat. I might even put that on my Patreon lens in a second. She's a random one in the bushes. So you guys want to see my daily Snapchat? Check me out on Patreon. Donate $1 a month with just $12 a year, and help me to keep delivering these red pills, and help me to work towards my goal of going full-time, pushing to have this feminist agenda toppled. All right, guys, love you all. Stay strong. I appreciate you. You're my MGTOW brothers. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Peace.